Hello and welcome to all the ghouls and vampires out there. I'm Joe here with me, my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
And today we're starting a new podcast. I know these are getting annoying, us doing these shot-for-shot analyses, but this is Solomon Kane, one of the greatest horror dark fantasy movies of all times.
You do that for Solomon Kane. You treasure his horror-filled greatness.
Yeah. And this movie, oh boy, does it start awesome. The first time we saw it, you ended up going, oh wow, this is way better than I expected from the word go. Because you were like, I remember you had some doubts just at the start where, okay, let's see how this goes. Because James Purefoy, we both love, but it's just the dark setting. It makes it hard to see any. Okay, yeah, doubt's gone within 5 minutes. You're nodding your head. But this movie, like, we did our review of it, but I kind of feel that a review, that was just for rating it and doing a general thing. This is going to be each scene we want to analyze and take a look at and see, as we're reading Solomon Kane and doing book clubs for the Nightmare Reviews channel, I want to actually have us occasionally sit down and analyze this movie and where all the nods are. And this movie serves as a prequel to the Solomon Kane stories, so that it's creating a backstory for the character. This came out in an era when origin stories were all the rage. You had Spider-Man who had one or two, you had Batman who had one, you had the Fantastic Four, Iron Man. But the difference is, this is an even more awesome origin story. And here, what the director and writers decided to do is, they didn't want to make any bones about Solomon Kane. Oh, should we start him as the most heroic guy on Earth? No. Should we start him off as a cold Lex Luthor type merchant of death? No. He's just a raving, murdering, homicidal lunatic. Seems appropriate. But at the start, you got the Union Jack that flies by, so obviously Solomon is kind of on the right side of the law, kind of not. He's a privateer. He's a pirate. And that actually seems appropriate for him to have begun his career more as a murderous pirate in the mold of kind of Blackbeard or something, except he doesn't seem to be preying on any Spanish ships. He's preying upon an Islamic holdout, probably in the Middle East somewhere. He raids and is destroying a town and castle with little regard for women and children, which, that's harsh. Which, in some ways, it seems a more blatant show of evil on Solomon's part. Now, in today's day and age, the whole question of religion, especially that of, well, any religion, I should say, is a pretty hot topic, hot button topic. And what Solomon is doing ain't right. Now, on the part of these Muslims, because it's very evident that they're Muslims, they're not actually, to my knowledge, doing anything wrong. You got to bear in mind, their castle seems to be, yes, a place of treasure, but they seem more like the guardians trying to keep people out from, well, a devil spawn location. They are really kind of protecting almost a portal to hell and trying to safeguard and contain some demons. They're actually doing a good thing. Solomon's coming in, raiding the joint with no thought to the consequences of his actions. He's actually doing something very, very, very wrong that he has no idea he's doing, which makes it even more appalling. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to take sides in regards to religion. I'm not. This movie steers firmly into a interestingly pretty pro-Christian angle. But they're showing that when Solomon was more atheistic, he didn't give any thought to religion or the places he was desecrating, which is why, in some ways, thematically, he is a villain at the start, because he must have been told, there's vast treasure here, but don't go doing this. This is a place that God has condemned, and that, you've got demons there. Oh, what do I care? I don't believe in that nonsense.
Very dangerous mentality, because you never know what you're going to unleash upon the world.
Yeah, and Solomon, we see in the first scene, he goes to confront the Muslims, throw the doors closed and are desperate to keep him out, almost more for his sake than their own. I'm not trying to infer heroism. I'm just trying to infer what's actually in there. So we have to read their actions in a more positive light. Solomon has no thought for this.
He just fires a cannon.
Which is pretty badass and cool. Destroying and ripping men apart. Then wanders in like he owns the place, which, when you fire a cannonball into a place, it kind of means it's now yours, I guess, by right of conquest and gunpowder. And actually, Gunpowder and Conquest sounds like a pretty kick-ass title for a book. Or Conquest by Gunpowder. He goes in, tries at first to intimidate the Muslim, the only Muslim, surviving Muslim, I mean, and then he changes tactics, going, oh, it's okay, and speaks to him in, I think, Arabic. I don't recognize the language. And the Muslim ends up assured he'll keep his life. Scared, he points Solomon towards the throne room. At which point, Solomon goes all crusader on us, pulls out one of his pistols, switches his hold over it, and tells his men, don't leave a single one of these putrid heathens alive. And pulls the trigger. Well, not before he's at least polite to the guy, saying, goodbye. At least he was polite about the whole ordeal. There's still that English civility in him.
Of course. Of course, if you're going to kill someone, you have to take the chance for some proper tea.
And crumpets. Yeah, how very British of him. And then Solomon leads his men in, and I'm going to be honest. Looking at this scene with all those mirrors, this is the creepiest scene I've ever seen in horror film, cinematic history. And I've seen a bit of the cinematic, like the silent film of Nosferatu. Creepy. This reminds me of that on steroids. This is creepy.
When you enter such a room and there's a ton of mirrors,
and they're all black like that,
I wouldn't step in there.
I wouldn't step in for all the gold in the world. And Solomon, not cluing in, just strolls in. And his men are, meanwhile, kind of going, I don't know about this. At which point, Solomon tells them, shut up and follow me. They go in, and you immediately see that there's a demon hidden behind a few mirrors. Lovely. And it moves around, and then you realize there's more than one. And they start taking out men who barely manage to even get one or two choked screams out. And eventually Solomon Kane and his men realize what's going on. And Solomon is told, okay, this place is cursed. There's something wrong here, by his first mate. Solomon tells him off. The guy goes, okay, you know what? He goes to make a break for it. Solomon Kane then shoots him and tells them that the only death that will visit itself upon them will be by his hand, and they are not to retreat. His men, shocked, well, for obvious reasons, and horrified by how their captain has turned against them, have no other choice but to follow him. With Kane rushing into the throne room, at which point the door is closed behind him, he presses his ear to the door, crying out for his men, and soon they are screaming and there's the sound of combat. Then it gets cut off abruptly. It is very clear what has happened to them. Solomon Kane, though, soon has other concerns. For one thing, ooh, shiny gold! Yay! He's rich! Rich, I tell you! Rich like Scrooge! But oh wait, this place is haunted. And soon you have dark specters and spirits rushing around in one of the most creepy scenes out there.
And it's at this point where the gold in his hands,
He begins to let it go.
because he realizes
His eyes
that
are looking at a corpse.
it's like black blood, green skin. Oh, maybe there's some curse revolving around this gold.
Yeah, finally he clues in that this place is cursed after probably the Muslims and his own men were telling him, "Boss, please don't. This place gives me the heebie-jeebies." You have him, "Yeah, so? Okay. Sure. Sure. Only clue in now after you've gotten everyone killed and you've unleashed what ungodly horror upon the world?" Sorry, but this is a good chunk of this movie is all Solomon Kane's fault. But that's the idea of the movie. It's about redemption. And Solomon is then told by the monster that takes shape from all the dead spirits, which I get the impression that most of those spirits are Solomon's own victims. Many of their souls being sucked in by this Reaper. And this Reaper introduces himself as the Devil's Reaper, and that the devil has claimed Solomon Kane's soul. Solomon Kane is forced to bow before it, and it then goes to, well, give him a French salute, so to speak, with its sword. Yeah, it's planning to decapitate him. And Solomon Kane, in a rush of passion and anger, blocks the attack, working more on adrenaline than anything else, and tells it, "No, you can't claim my soul." And he suddenly discovers religion. Finally.
I mean, it's about time.
Yeah. So he finds God, which is pretty funny when you word it that way. Like, he's gone to the most wicked place on earth, this castle. He's done what sort of horrible things to get there, and through it, he's cut through how many people, slaughtered how many innocents, turned on his own men, and now he finds God. Well, better late than never, I guess. And, of course, the Devil's Reaper tells him, "Yeah, you've done too many horrible things. There's no way God's going to want you back." But that's actually a lie, as the whole foundation of the Christian religion revolves around the idea of forgiveness, and that God will forgive you for all your sins if you atone, regardless at what point in your life and what you've done. You need only atone and do it sincerely. With Solomon very sincere about it, because he's scared of going straight to HE double hockey stick, as the English, I think, would tend to put it. And he's told, "Yeah, you know what? No, I'm claiming your soul. Screw you. You're coming over to my place to watch, I don't know, Game of Thrones. Something trashy like that." I'm joking, people. I'm joking. And Solomon Kane would prefer to risk death jumping out a window from a 12-story building than such a fate. Which, honestly, I crack jokes, but this is one of the best introductions to a movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
I can't argue with that. It looks creepy.
Oh, yeah. There's so much mood set up. And Kane is so well acted. I love James Purefoy as an actor. I'm sorry, but I don't care what his politics are. I don't care. I don't know what they are. I don't care. I know a lot of Hollywood folk often come out against people. And I don't really, if you're of one mind or another regarding them, that's fine. Love what you love. But I'm just saying, I don't always approve of attacking fan bases on either side. It isn't right because, you're overgeneralizing a group of people. And that's not something I ever feel comfortable with. But Purefoy is such a great actor. I don't care what he thinks or what he believes in or whatever. I really, 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 really love his movies and his TV shows. Rome, The Following, Solomon Kane. There's also this fisherman movie that looks great that I haven't seen yet. I really want to see. It's set in Britain. Anyways, he is just such a perfect actor. And he's also fluent in French.
Très bien. Très
Parfait,
bien.
eh?
The atmosphere where it begins, I can't help but think that we're going down Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of that. It is, yeah. And I think that's the whole idea. He's wandering into the deepest circles of hell, and it's only then that he finds redemption and a small glimmer of light for his own soul. And this is the whole thematic idea, I think, of what Solomon Kane is doing, because as the scenes are progressing, he's committing one atrocity after another. First, he inflicts it on the city full of Muslims. Then he inflicts it on, Muslim, the Muslim guards. And the thing there is, sure, okay, they're from a different civilization and religio culture from him, but on some level, we got to bear in mind there must be women and children in this city, and that inherently is wrong. I'm just saying, no matter what, that it's wrong to attack them. And then, of course, and he takes down an unarmed, begging opponent, which on some level that is really, 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 really wrong. On a lot of levels. Then he turns on his own men. So, like, he's committing... Okay, I'm just going to say, like, let's say you can find a way to justify what he's done against a city full of people. Okay, fine. The guards are guards. They're soldiers. Okay, fine. But then his own men. That's wrong. Like, they've put their lives and souls pretty much in his hands. And he just turns on them. He's getting progressively worse with every minute. But then it's when he finally fights back and defends himself against this Devil's Reaper and he proclaims, no, my soul doesn't belong to you. And he finds religion, that he finds within himself a glimmer of light. And it's about redemption, really. And that's important because he has to go into the darkest pits before he can climb himself out. And that's really what, to a large extent, at least as Campbell, I think, once analyzed Dante's Inferno, it's about going to the lowest point in your soul and your life before you can pull yourself out of the pit. But the one who tossed you into the pit is always yourself. No one else can throw you down there but you. And the only one who can pull you out of there is yourself. You have to find the strength within to save yourself. So, very, very important point to the scene. So, yeah, I do take your meaning about this is like going down into Dante's Inferno or into a pit within his soul. Yeah, I really love this intro. There is a lot of action, but it's not, the action is almost simply an extension of the drama happening within Solomon Kane. Which, oh man, I just really love this part of the film. This is a great and perfect prelude/prologue to the film. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. So, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button as though you were Solomon Kane taking down one of his enemies.